what you think is looking at. Now, somebody can ask him or herself that what's so special about this woman and her giving? Let me explain to you the reason why the giving of this woman is noteworthy in this text. Number one, this woman knew that at the time the church or the temple existed, the temple was so corrupt. Mm, it was corrupt. Let me explain to you. Hey, Ananias and Caiaphas, who were the high priest then, had just paid to the Roman government. And so the Roman government gave them the mandate of being the high priests because they paid a lot of money there. It was like the highest bidder takes it all. It is not like how we do it today. During these times, it was bad. For you to be a high priest in Jerusalem, you had because it was the Romans that were determining the priest. So Ananias and Caiaphas, they paid walilipa negichulo pesa mang'eny maloyo joma no contest. Hey, contesting no chakre chon. You know chakre and it has been here. People have been contesting. Koro kare ka ineno ka ji contest e kanisa ka. It is not a problem of yesterday. It began during the time of Jesus. So contestants came and they were paying. Koro ka jorumi jomukelo pesa to gikoni the high priest Pedro Anania this year, then the other year. This woman knew very well the corruption of Ananias and the corruption of Caiaphas as the priest because they had paid to get their work. They were therefore misusing the resources in the temple because you cannot sit at a place where you invested and you don't get a profit, can you? Inyalo chulo pesa ni kamoro to kore lenga lenga. Niko riko ni wonwa tiune Nyasaye. It wasn't so. This woman knew the corruption in the church. Nong'eyo kaka jorumi kaachiel gi jodolo ne ok faithful e tich Nyasaye. Mama ni nong'eyo ni Kayafa gin gi Ananias kaka ne gichamo pesa mar Nyasaye, to mama ni ne ok odewo kata Ananias gi Kayafa chamo pesa mare, ne ok ochande mondo otame golo. Listen to this. This is so beautiful. The reason why this woman never stopped giving her 2 times, even though she had known about the corruption in the church, even though she had known how Caiaphas and Ananias messed with the church resources, the reason why this woman gave her all, it's because when she first came into the church, she never gave her heart to Ananias or Caiaphas, but she gave her heart to Christ. That is why even if Ananias and Caiaphas messes with the resources, it was not her business. Oh, it was not her business. Whatever they did, it was not her business. Because her heart belonged to Jesus, not Ananias. Let me tell you something. Those watching me here and those who are watching online. When you give your heart to Christ, He will be the object that determines how you give back to Him. And you won't stop being faithful to Him because your church elder is messing with the resources. Because your pastor is messing. This woman's story is notable because she knew of all the corruption, but she still gave because she was reasoning within herself that even if Ananias messes with the resources, I never gave my heart to them. When I joined this temple, I gave my heart. Jesus. That is one thing I don't want you to miss, to leave this place without underscoring. That when you first, in fact, let me put it this way. When you first give your heart to Jesus, your resources will follow anyhow. When you first give your heart to Jesus. In fact, that is the greatest principle of stewardship. These things are heart issues. When your heart first gets to Jesus, you will not be disturbed. Even if people around you will not give, you will not be disturbed because you didn't give your heart to them. Give it to Jesus. And that is one thing that makes this story. That is one thing that this story is so interesting. Because this woman, friends, this woman is not disturbed. She's not bothered. She's not discouraged by the mismanagement of the temple resources because she gave her heart first to Jesus. Ngemane mumia wacho nini? Before you give God your resources, why don't you first give him your heart? Hmm? Before you give him your body, why don't you give him your soul? Before you give him the benefits of your life, why don't you give him the substance of your life? Before you give him what life has blessed you with, why don't you give him what he has blessed you with? Because remember, there are two things. There is what life has blessed you with, and there is what God has blessed you with, which is life. So this woman's story is beautiful. Beautiful because she knew all the corruption in the church. But she gave. And listen, she did not give part. Read with me your Bible again. Read with me your Bible again. Because I want to get out of this place now. Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this now. Verse number 42. No, I want verse number 43. And he called unto him his disciples and said unto them, verily I say unto you, that this poor widow has cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. 44. For all they did cast in, for all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her, what did cast in all that she had, even all her living. She cast her all. She gave her all. Now, what does it mean when this woman gave her all? She was exercising her faith by saying that if I give my all, I will live tomorrow because Jesus lives. She was exercising her faith. She wasn't giving and keeping some to survive on tomorrow. Noko chiu matin, kae tokan moko, mondo kinyo konyrego like the Pharisees did. Because for them, they were just giving some and leaving some for tomorrow. But this woman gave her all. In fact, one writer says, Andrew McLaren says, that this woman, by giving her all to Jesus, she placed herself in the offering box to Jesus. That is where I got my subject. She placed herself, alijibeba mzima mzima, akajiingiza ndani ya kile kitu cha kuweka sadaka na akajirudisha kwa Mungu. He got into that thing and said, God, I'm getting into this thing and I'm bringing by myself back to you. Akajiingiza ndani ya hicho kitu na akajirudisha kwa Mungu. She gave her all. She knew how corrupt the church was, but she gave her all. By the way, when you read this text, it is a small picture of the cross experience. This is a small prophecy of the cross. Because later, God would give his all to his children who he knows are corrupt, but he would permit Jesus to die on the cross. He gave his all. Now you will understand John 3:16 well. What does it say? You can do it in a more organized way. What does it say? That he did what? Thank you. That is okay. That is enough. That is enough. This small text is a prophecy. The woman knew the corruption of the church, but she gave all. God knows that the best you can do in being saved is to take your sin to him. By the way, one of my favorite preachers loves to say this, that the only contribution man makes towards his salvation is to bring his sin. Hiyo ndio kitu yenye unaweza leta. You can't bring anything. Don't be cheated that you can bring anything and God accepts you. Even if you give the offering, hata utoe na ulete hapa, you're not buying your way back to God. You are just giving what he gave you. You can't bribe God with his own blessings. You can't give to God so that he loves you more, because he loved you and that is why he gave it to you. So don't be confused that by giving much, you'll be given much blessings. We cannot be given more blessings than the blessing we've had through Jesus Christ. And so we give back to Jesus because it's a delight. You don't give much so that God can love you more. No. So this text here reminds me, or it gives me a picture that when this woman gave her all, her all, that is the word. She gave her all. She gave her what? All. No chiwo duto. Akatoa zake zote. Zote. She had nothing left. In fact, picture with me this woman as she was living back home. You think that she never needed supper that day? Talk to me. Did she need supper that day? If maybe people were